New York Times with another great editorial about dark money and the influence of money in politics. And they're explaining how President Obama actually does want to address a part of it, thanks God, but of course the Republicans are fighting it. So let's explain. President Obama is reported to be considering an important break on the torrent of dark money already flooding the 2016 presidential campaign, an executive order requiring federal contractors to disclose their donations to political candidates. Mr. Obama should immediately sign such an order. This is the editorial board of the New York Times taking a position on this. This position is nearly inarguable. Should we let federal contractors secretly give money to politicians? The politicians then decide who's going to get the federal contracts. That would be the most obvious bribery of all time. But it's legalized, and now they want to keep it in the dark. So President Obama is saying, hey, look, I'm not going to make it illegal. I can't. The Supreme Court says giving a politician money is not illegal. It's you're just talking to them. It's speech. Okay, I don't understand why they can't just put it in their pockets. They can give it to them in campaign donations. They can hire them later and give it directly in their pockets. They can give it to their independent expenditures. The only thing those are all speech. But if you say, oh, here, go buy a fur coat with it. Oh, wait a minute, that's a bribe. No, they're all bribes. They're all bribes. And you know that there's something wrong when you're doing it in the dark. If it was perfectly okay and wonderful free speech that you wanted to exercise, why aren't you doing it in public? Why are you doing it in secret? So President Obama wants to address a small part of this just for federal contractors. Now, if you're a Republican and you've been crying about crony capitalism for all this time, I mean, you would be ecstatic about this, right? I mean, this is exactly how crony capitalism happens. A politician becomes corrupted, gives federal contracts, and you don't even get to find out about it. And they don't win it based on the free market. They win it based on campaign contributions. Perfect case of crony capitalism. So what are Republicans doing? They're saying, no, we want to make sure that President Obama cannot do this. We want to make sure that it stays secret. Wait a minute. President Obama's in charge of the executive branch now. Wouldn't that give him so much more power that he could take those donations for his own political party and dole out favors? Yes, but we don't care. Because we love dark money. We love when it's done in secret, because secretly we take more bribes than anyone else. That's the Republican Party position in reality. So more from the New York Times. Sunlight said Justice Anthony Kennedy would let citizens see whether elected officials are in the pocket of so-called money interests. Now, that was Justice Kennedy during Citizens United. In this terrible Citizens United decision, the guy who wrote the decision said, nah, it's okay, because we're going to find out who's giving the money, so it won't be a problem. There'll be sunlight on it. Except they immediately turned off the sun. The Republicans did. They're like, oh, thanks a lot about that thing where they can give us money. Yeah, we're going to keep that secret. What happened, Supreme Court? I thought you said it was going to be out in the open. Why don't you make a ruling about that? Oh, here's what the Supreme Court said about that. Yeah, no, now they're letting them do it in secret. So they don't give a damn. All right, in votes earlier this month, the House Appropriations Committee's Republican majority quietly inserted an amendment in a spending bill that would block the Securities and Exchange Commission from crafting a rule requiring public companies to open up to their stockholders and voters about their political spending. Okay, so they're saying if you are an owner of a company, you're a shareholder in a company, the company should be able to keep their political donations secret from you, too. What the fuck? Wait a minute, I'm the owner of the company. Nope, sorry, not going to tell you who I spent your money on. But as a stockholder, that's of course that's my right. I own shares in the company. The executive doesn't own the company. You're running the company on behalf of the owners, the stockholders. That's capitalism. It's capitalism 101. Nope, not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell the public. I'm not going to tell the people who own the company. I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm just going to do the bribes in secret. That's what the Republicans are pushing for. The guys in favor of the free market. Another amendment that the Republicans proposed would stop the Internal Revenue Service from issuing an overdue rule reining in social welfare organizations that do not have to disclose donors under current IRS rules and are increasingly misused as big money conduits for partisan political activity. A third would protect government contractors from disclosing who they're showering with money. Every one of these is, no, don't tell the public, don't tell the public who's giving us money. But I thought you said it was free speech. Free speech is out in the open. Oh, I see, you want to do it in secret because you do have bad intent. Every single one of these amendments proposed by the Republicans is to keep the money dark, to keep their donors secret, because you know that it's the billionaires who want their taxes cut. It's the companies who want the regulations cut so they can pollute, so they can take more chances if they're the banks, so they can speculate more. That's why they're doing, God, wolf-pack.com, man. We lost our democracy. They're spitting in our eye. Not only are the politicians getting bribed, they won't even tell us who's bribing them, even though the Supreme Court, even as Citizens United said, well, you got to at least let them know who's bribing you. And they said, no, we don't. We're not going to listen to any rules. They're runaway oligarchy, man. Wolf-pack.com. It's time to go to their house, okay? We got to go fix this, and we can do it. You get an amendment. Every generation of Americans has got an amendment except us. Up and at 'em, up and at 'em. Let's go clean up the government, man. Let's be the new founding fathers and the founding mothers of this country. Let's bring our democracy back. Okay, you want to see the results, by the way, of this corruption? The winners in the 11 most competitive Senate races netted more than $131 million in dark money. You know, people often talk about, oh, the Koch brothers back in 2012, they spent a lot of money, but Obama won anyway. Big money doesn't win. No. Big money has trouble in presidential races because there's so much free media. President Obama just can go on TV and put out his message. He doesn't need to buy the ads, okay? Now, he still does. He spends a ton of money and raised $1 billion on his own anyway. It's not like he didn't have money. He had plenty of money, right? But what they don't tell you about is 2014. In 2014, when there wasn't big media paying attention, there wasn't a presidential race, that $131 million made all the difference. Koch brothers had a 95% effectiveness rate in 2014. Because money buys you advertising, it buys you a giant megaphone, and it allows you to trick people by pretending that you're on their side. Now, and then you never tell people who actually paid for those ads and who did the tricking. That's why the Republicans want to keep this secret. Wolf-pack.com, man. If you love our democracy, if you love America, let's go get it back.